Hi everybody, we're going to talk about scale models and scale drawings, and for this worksheet you will need a ruler that has inches on it. That's going to help you to measure. So I have my ruler here. Make sure you have one, and let's not forget on a ruler, let's just talk about the measurements that we see here. These little tick marks in between the 1 and the 2, that doesn't mean 0.10, that means, let's see, okay, so depending on where you're looking at, they don't mean 0.10. So like this big one right here, this one means 1/2, okay, and then this one means 1/4, and this one means 3/4, and then each one of these little bitty babies are worth 1/16, okay, and the medium-sized ones, those are worth 1/8, okay. So it might be easiest if you just count all the little babies and then you put them over 16, and then each time you'll get it right. So a scale model or a scale drawing is an object of drawing with lengths proportional to the object it represents. In other words, if I wrote a fraction 0.75 over 6, then that's comparing inches to miles. I could find the length on here and then figure out how many miles it is by writing another fraction. Okay, the scale of a model or drawing is the ratio of the length of the model or drawing to the actual length of the object. So a number 5 that told us a scale, which is the length of the drawing to the length of the object. And they want us to find the actual distance from Pineham to Menlo Field, my bad. So we're going to take our ruler and we're going to measure, okay? So remember, line it up exactly and measure to the best that you can. So from Pineham to Menlo Fields is this line right here, and I notice that it's 1 whole inch plus 1/2 of these little tally marks. So we're going to say this is 1 2/16. Okay, so when we're talking about all of these, we're talking about 16ths. Okay, so this is 1 2/16 of an inch. Okay, and a lot of you freak out when we use fractions, and that's just because you're terrified of it, but your calculator does all the hard work for you. Okay, so our scale was 0.75 inches over 6 miles. Remember in our last unit I was trying to tell you to make sure you wrote exactly what unit you were using. So here this is 1 2/16 what? 1 2/16 inches over X miles. Okay? Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to cross multiply. So we get 0.75 in X equals, and then we're going to do 6 times 1 2/16. So let's talk about how we're going to do that on our calculator. So I think that probably the best way to do this is to take this fraction 2/16 and let's turn it into a decimal. So it's 0.125. So this 1 2/16 is really 1.125 inches. Okay, and that's going to help you multiply that out. So it's 1.125 times 6, which is 6.75. So multiplying this by this. So this is 6.75. And then lastly we just divide. So we say X equals, if we divide by 0.75 on both sides, we get 9. Okay, and 9 is on the bottom, which is talking about miles. So my answer is 9 miles. Okay, so set up your fraction, and then if you have a fraction for your length that you're finding in inches, turn that fraction into a decimal by using division. And if it's a whole number before it, so if it's 1, you put 1.125. If this was 2 2/16, then it would be 2.125. You get my idea. Alright, so go ahead and figure out number 6. It says use a map above and a customary ruler to find the actual distance between Eastwich and Needham Beach. Measure to the nearest 16th of an inch, just like we were talking about. So look at your map, find the distance between Eastwich and Needham Beach. and get your answer. Okay, so I'm looking at the length between these, and this is 1 whole inch, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 sixteenths. 1 and 9/16 of an inch. Okay? So I've set up my fraction. Remember your scale, 0.75 inches to 6 miles, and that was 1 and 9/16 inches, and we're trying to find x miles. Remember, we don't want to use this as a fraction, so we need to make it into a decimal by using division. So do 9 divided by 16. That's you can't see that. That's 0.5625. So it's 1.5625. Okay, and then you're going to use your calculator to cross multiply. So 0.75x equals 9.375, and then divide. So x equals 12.5, so it's 12.5 miles between those two cities. Okay, so that's how you use a scale. It tells you the scale is 0.75 to 6 miles, then you just set it up exactly like that and solve it. Alright, go ahead and fold it in half if you haven't already. I don't know why I haven't been folding them in half to start with lately. Alright, so on the inside, we've got to find scale factor. And so scale factor of a drawing is the scale written as a unitless ratio in simplest form. Scale factors are always written so that the model length in the ratio comes first, okay? So we have a dollhouse that is 15 inches tall, and the scale model of the real house with a height of 20 feet, okay? So we're going to write scale factor, or find the scale of the model by saying the model. It's just a ratio of the model to the actual. So it was 15 inches tall. And then the actual was 20 feet. Now, just like we did in the last unit, we have to simplify that. So you would go to your calculator. You could do it one of two different ways. You could divide it and then push math enter, enter. Or you could put it in as a fraction, 15 over 20, and then push enter, and your calculator will give you that simplified fraction. Either way on your calculator works. So this is 3 to 4. Okay? Now you could also use your brain and notice that they both can be divided by 5. 15 divided by 5 is 3. 20 divided by 5 is 4. Okay. It says how many times as tall as the actual house is the model. To answer this question, find the scale factor of the model. Multiply it by a conversion factor. Let's skip this problem. I'm not too interested in it. Moving on. Number 8. The length of a model train is 18 inches. If the scale of the model, it is a scale model of a train that is 48 feet long. Find the scale factor. Okay? So the scale factor, remember, is written as a unitless ratio, so we don't put inches or feet, and it's in simplest form. And remember, the model length comes first in the ratio. That's what this stuff was talking about. So we want to go model to the actual. And so how much was the model? 18. How much was the actual? 48. Then we're going to simplify that. I know that 6 can go into both of those, which would get me 3 to 8. You can also use your calculator. 18 divided by 6 is 3. 48 divided by 6 is 8. Pretty sure. Let me make sure I'm not making that up. Yep, it's true. Alright, so that's the scale factor. Okay, so now we're going to use the scale factor, or the ratio of the height of the sculpture to the actual height is 2 to 3. And it's telling you in order here. So an artist in Portland, Oregon makes the bronze sculptures of dogs. The ratio of the height of the sculpture to the actual height of the dog is 2 to 3. So So sculpture came first. So 2 over 3. And then it says the height of the sculpture is 14. So does that go with the 2 or does that go with the 3? Well, remember, the height of the sculpture came first, and then the height of the dog came second. So sculpture to dog. So then if it says the sculpture is 14, then it's going to go on the top. 14 over x. And then you just cross multiply and solve. So 2x equals 42. So x equals 21. So the actual height of the dog is going to be 21 inches. Not too great of a difference between the sculpture and the actual dog here. Alright, last one. The span of Benjamin Franklin Suspension Bridge in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania is 1,750 feet. So this is the actual. Okay? A model of the bridge has a span of 42 inches. What is the scale of the model to the span of the actual Franklin Bridge? So, remember scale factor means you're going to put the model first and the actual second. So the model is going to be 42. The actual is going to be 1,750. And then I'm super duper lazy. I don't feel like simplifying that. So I'm going to make my calculator do it for me. 42 over 1,750. And I get 3 over 125. So it's 3 to 125. And that's the actual scale factor. Alright, thanks for watching. Have a good day.